Las Vegas in the early 1970s was a city that never slept, a glittering oasis of dreams and a little bit of madness under the desert sky. Neon signs painted the night in electric blues, reds, and gold, each promising a jackpot, a show, or a night you'd never forget. And right at the heart of that dazzling chaos, two giants were about to find their paths crossing in the most unexpected way. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, was practically royalty in Vegas. His residency at the International Hotel, soon to be the Las Vegas Hilton, was legendary. Every night he'd stride onto the stage, a vision in a sequin jumpsuit and a cape that flared like a peacock's tail, and the crowd would erupt. His voice, a smooth blend of rock, gospel, and country, filled the showroom, wrapping around everyone like a warm embrace. People came from all over the world just to see him, to feel that electric connection. Elvis loved his fans, loved the stage, but sometimes after the final bow, when the roar died down and the lights dimmed, the silence in his luxurious suite could feel mighty loud. Meanwhile, the rumble around town wasn't just about Elvis. There was another king in town, though of a very different sort. Muhammad Ali, the greatest, the Louisville Lip, the heavyweight champion of the world, was making headlines just by breathing the desert air. He wasn't there for a fight this time, not officially. He was in Vegas for a series of exhibition matches, a promotional tour, and as Ali himself might put it, to simply grace the city with his magnificent presence. Ali was a whirlwind of energy, a poet with his fists, and a showman who could captivate a room with a single word. He was loud, proud, and unapologetically himself, often surrounded by a buzzing entourage and a constant stream of reporters hanging on his every utterance. The rumor mill in Vegas, fueled by late-night shows and early morning coffee, started churning the moment Ali arrived. "Did you hear? The King of Rock is in the same town as the King of the Ring," people whispered in hotel lobbies. Imagine those two in a room together. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's notoriously protective manager, heard the whispers and just grumbled, "Elvis has enough on his plate. He doesn't need to be mixing with fighters. Too much commotion." Colonel preferred Elvis's world to be neatly contained. Stage, hotel suite, repeat, any deviation was a potential headache. But Elvis, despite his colonel's cautious nature, was quietly intrigued. He'd seen Ali on television, heard his incredible boasts, and watched his lightning-fast movements in the ring. "Man, that fella's got charisma," Elvis had mused to his Memphis Mafia one night, watching a replay of an Ali fight. "He's like a song in motion, just faster." Elvis respected anyone who mastered their craft, and Ali was clearly a master. On the other side of town, Ali was holding court in a suite at the Riviera, doing interviews and signing autographs. Someone mentioned Elvis's residency. "Oh, the other king, huh?" Ali quipped, a mischievous glint. "He sings pretty, I hear. But can he float like a butterfly? Can he sting like a bee?" His entourage chuckled, knowing Ali loved to playfully challenge anyone, even if they were from a completely different world. "Maybe I should go teach him a few moves, show him what real footwork looks like." He wasn't serious, not really, but the idea, once planted, began to sprout. Elvis was aware of Ali's playful jabs, and he found them amusing. He knew Ali was a character, and there was a part of Elvis that appreciated that kind of larger-than-life personality. He was a showman too, after all. The real push came from a mutual acquaintance, a high-rolling hotel executive named Marvin, who saw the potential for an epic publicity stunt, or at the very least an unforgettable story for his grandkids. Marvin had connections everywhere, and he had a knack for making things happen. He'd seen both men perform, knew their power, and sensed a curious unspoken respect between them. Despite their different arenas, Marvin started working the phones. First, he called Colonel Parker. "Colonel, I was thinking a private little meet and greet, just a quick handshake, a photo. Imagine the headlines. 'Two kings, same city.'" Colonel Parker hummed and hawed. "Too much trouble, Marvin. Elvis is busy." "It's good for the hotel, Colonel, good. For Elvis's image, shows he's a man of the people, respected by all." even the greatest boxer of all time. He knew how to push the colonel's buttons, appealing to the business side of things. After much negotiation, and Marvin promising a private, highly controlled environment, the colonel grudgingly agreed to consider it. Then Marvin called Ali's people. "Ali, my man, how about meeting the king of rock and roll? He's a fan of yours, you know, says you're a real showman." Ali, ever the showman himself, perked up. "Oh, he's a fan, is he? Well, it takes one to know one, I suppose. I might just have to show him how to dance a little faster." He laughed. A booming sound that filled the room. Ali was always up for something new, especially if it promised a good story or a chance to entertain. So, unbeknownst to both men initially, the wheels were set in motion. The stage was being set, not for a concert or a boxing match, but for a meeting of two legends, two forces of nature, whose worlds were about to collide in a spectacular and very funny way. The air in Vegas crackled with the unspoken anticipation. A silent buzz beneath the constant drone of slot machines and the blare of trumpets from 1,000 stages. Nobody knew what would happen when Elvis met Ali, but everyone knew it wouldn't be boring. The neon glow of destiny was shining down on Las Vegas, preparing for a moment that would become a legendary tale. The idea of the King's meeting was now officially on the table, thanks to Marvin, the hotel executive with a flair for dramatic encounters. But getting two titans like Elvis Presley and Muhammad Ali into the same room was like trying to herd two very opinionated lions. Each had their own schedules, their own entourages, and their own deeply ingrained habits. For Elvis, every day was a carefully choreographed ballet of performances, rehearsals, fan mail, and quiet moments in his suite. His world was insular, protected by his inner circle, the Memphis Mafia. They were brothers, bodyguards, and friends, fiercely loyal. When Colonel Parker finally gave a reluctant nod to the idea of a meet and greet with Ali, "No press, Marvin. Absolutely no cameras. Just a quick handshake, maybe one official hotel photographer, and then Elvis needs to rest for his show. No autographs for Ali's people, no long conversations, no distractions." Colonel envisioned a polite 2-minute exchange. A professional courtesy. Marvin, of course, nodded seriously, promising the moon. In reality, he knew such an encounter between these two personalities would be anything but brief and polite. He just needed to get them in the room. Over in Ali's camp, things were a bit more chaotic, but equally guarded. Ali's minders and friends were just as protective, though perhaps with a bit more boisterous energy. When Marvin proposed the meeting to Ali himself, Ali's eyes lit up. "The king wants to meet the greatest." Well, that sounds about right," he boomed, flexing his biceps. "Tell him I'm always ready for a challenge, even if it's just a handshake." Ali saw it as an opportunity not just for publicity, but for genuine curiosity. He admired Elvis's talent and his hold on the public. He was a fan of showmanship in any form, and Elvis was arguably the greatest showman in music. Ali also had a deep love for people, and meeting other icons was always an interesting experience for him. He agreed to come to Elvis's hotel, which was a significant concession, showing his respect. The chosen venue for this historic yet supposedly low-key meeting was a private suite on the top floor of Elvis's hotel. It was far from the bustling casino floor, a quiet sanctuary with panoramic views of the glittering Strip. Marvin orchestrated the timing. Late afternoon, after Elvis's sound check, but before his pre-show ritual. For Ali, it meant squeezing it in between a light training session and a press call. On the appointed day, a nervous energy hung in the air. Elvis was getting ready in his suite, fiddling with his rings. "You sure about this, boys?" he asked his Memphis Mafia, who were sprawled around the room. "I mean, he's a boxer. What if he wants to spar?" He chuckled, a deep rumbling sound. Elvis was powerful, but he was a singer, not a fighter. Red West, one of Elvis's closest friends and a former bodyguard, grinned. "Nah, he's just gonna want to shake your hand and tell you how great he is. Probably try to recruit you for a fight camp." Maybe I'll ask him to sing a duet, Elvis mused, a mischievous glint in his eyes. He actually found the whole idea amusing. He'd always been fascinated by larger-than-life figures, and Ali definitely fit that bill. He was curious to see the man behind the boasts. Meanwhile, Ali arrived at the International Hotel with a smaller-than-usual entourage, as per Marvin's strict instructions. Even then, heads turned as he walked through the hotel lobby, his presence electrifying. He was dressed in a sharp suit, looking every inch the champion. He nodded to admirers, flashed his famous smile, but kept moving. He was on a mission. As the elevator ascended to the top floor, Ali's friend and aide, Bundini Brown, clapped him on the shoulder. "All right, champ, get ready for the king." "Don't let him out-charm me now." Ali chuckled. "Out-charm me, Bundini? That's impossible. I'm the prettiest, the greatest, and the most charming. He might be the king, but I'm the emperor of all things charming." He paused, then added, "But seriously, he's a good man, from what I hear. Let's make this a good meeting." When the elevator doors opened, Marvin was there, looking a little stressed but beaming. "Champ, welcome, right this way. Elvis is just inside." Ali walked into the private suite. It was quiet, luxurious, filled with soft lighting and a scent of expensive cologne. And there, standing by a large window, looking out over the glittering city, was Elvis Presley. He turned as Ali entered. And for a moment, two of the most famous faces on the planet simply regarded each other. Elvis was dressed casually in black slacks and an open-necked shirt, but he still radiated an almost otherworldly aura. His hair was perfectly coiffed, his eyes a piercing blue. Ali, tall and imposing, walked forward, his confident stride filling the room. For a split second, there was a silence so profound you could almost hear the neon hum of the city outside. Then Elvis offered a warm, genuine smile. "Mr. Ali," he said, extending a hand. His voice was softer than it was on stage, a gentle southern drawl. Ali grasped his hand firmly, his smile wide and infectious. "Well, if it ain't the king himself. They told me I was meeting a king, but I didn't realize it would be the king in the flesh." His voice was a booming laugh, full of life and a playful challenge. "You look mighty fine, brother, ready to float like a butterfly." The ice was broken. Marvin breathed a sigh of relief. This was going to be just a handshake. This was going to be a show. The setup was complete, and the stage was perfectly set for whatever incredible, hilarious, or heartwarming moment was about to unfold. The handshake between Elvis Presley and Muhammad Ali wasn't just a physical gesture. It was the meeting of two seismic forces. Elvis's grip was firm. Ali's was powerful. And for a moment they just held on, taking each other in. "Have a seat, Mr. Ali," Elvis said, gesturing to a plush sofa. "Make yourself comfortable." Ali released his hand, his eyes twinkling. "Mr. Ali, please call me Ali. And you, King? I suppose I gotta call you King, huh? Or do you prefer Elvis?" He settled onto the sofa, stretching out his long legs. "They call me the greatest, you know, but you're the king. This is a lot of royalty in one room, ain't it?" Elvis chuckled, a rare, relaxed sound. "Elvis is fine, Ali. Just Elvis." He took a seat opposite him, leaning forward slightly. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I've followed your career for a long time. You're quite the performer, both in and out of the ring." Ali beamed. "Performer? Oh, I'm more than a performer, Elvis. I'm an artist. I paint with my fists, I dance with my feet, I speak poetry with my mouth. Ain't nobody does it, your singing, your pretty moves on stage, but can you dodge a punch like I can? Can you float like a butterfly and sting like a bee?" He mimed a quick jab and then a graceful, almost balleric step. Elvis watched, fascinated. Ali was exactly as advertised, confident, boisterous, utterly captivating. "Well, I certainly can't do that," Elvis admitted, a smile playing on his lips. "My moves are more for the ladies in the audience, not for dodging a heavyweight punch. But I can certainly make a crowd roar." We might have that in common. A crowd roar. I make 'em scream, I make 'em faint, Ali boasted, then laughed. No, you're right. We got that. And the attention. Everybody watching, every move, every word. It's a heavy crown, ain't it? His tone shifted slightly, losing a bit of the boastfulness, becoming more reflective. Elvis nodded, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. It is. It's a blessing, but it comes with its own kind of fight. You're always on, always trying to be what people expect. Sometimes you just want to be normal. Ali leaned back, observing Elvis intently. Normal? What's normal when you're the greatest? Or when you're the king? We ain't built for normal, Elvis. We're built for the spotlight. It's our burden, but it's our gift too. He paused, then his eyes twinkled again. So tell me, King, who's got the better entourage? My boys are loyal, tough, and they know how to work a room. Your Memphis Mafia, they look like they mean business. Elvis glanced at his friends, who were standing quietly by the door, observing the interaction with a mixture of awe and amusement. My boys are family, Ali. They've been with me through thick and thin. They're like my brothers. Family, good, good. Loyalty is everything, Ali said, nodding approvingly. My brothers, too. Bundini, where are you? Bundini Brown, Ali's enthusiastic hype man, stepped forward, grinning. This is Bundini, my main man. He inspires me, tells me I'm pretty, tells me I'm great, even when I'm just waking up. Elvis chuckled again. Well, it's good to have people like that around. Keeps you honest. They talked for a while, the initial awkwardness melting away. Ali talked about his boxing philosophy, his beliefs, his journey. Elvis talked about his love for music, his spiritual searching, his desire to give back. Despite their vastly different worlds, they found common ground in the pressures of fame, the constant demands, the loneliness that could sometimes creep in even when surrounded by millions of fans. Ali, ever the interviewer, asked Elvis about his martial arts training. I heard, you know karate, Elvis? Is that true? You got some moves, Elvis, who had indeed studied karate seriously, smiled. A little bit, yeah. Not enough to get in the ring with you, though. More for discipline, for focus. It helps with the stage moves, too, sometimes. Discipline. Focus. That's what it takes, King Ali set a serious note in his voice. Whether you're fighting for a title or singing for the world, you gotta have that. You gotta believe in yourself. Believe in your calling. The conversation flowed surprisingly easily. Ali, for all his boasting, was incredibly articulate and deeply thoughtful. Elvis, for all his quiet reserve, was engaging and sincere. They were two men, two legends, stripped of their public personals for a brief moment, simply sharing their experiences. Just as the consul cleared his throat from the doorway. Elvis, time to get ready for the show, son. His voice was a gentle but firm reminder. Elvis sighed almost imperceptibly. Already it feels like we just started. He turned to Ali. It's been a real pleasure, Ali. Ali rose, towering over Elvis for a moment, then clapped him on the shoulder. Likewise, King. It's been an honor to meet the man who makes the girls swoon. Maybe next time you can show me some of those stage moves, and I'll show you how to truly float like a butterfly. He winked, then strode towards the door, his presence still filling the room even as he left. As Ali walked out, he paused at the doorway, turning back. You know, Elvis, he said, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, I think we should do something really memorable while I'm in town. Something nobody expects. What do you say? Elvis, caught off guard by the suggestion, just smiled. Ali grinned, that mischievous glint back in his eye. Good, because the greatest always has the best ideas. You just wait. And with that, he was gone, leaving Elvis with a sense of excitement and a faint feeling that his carefully structured world might just be about to get a whole lot more interesting and perhaps a whole lot funnier. The first impression was made and it was anything but ordinary. Ali's parting words about doing something memorable lingered in Elvis's mind. Couldn't shake the feeling that his encounter with the greatest was far from over, and he wasn't wrong. Marvin, the hotel executive, always one to seize an opportunity, had been buzzing ever since he saw the two legends interacting. He knew the Colonel's strict rules, but he also knew Elvis enjoyed stepping outside the usual routine sometimes. The next day, Marvin approached Elvis with a proposition. "Elvis," he began, "Ali was truly impressed by you. He mentioned he'd love to have a private dinner, just the two of you tonight. Said he wanted to pick your brain about the art of charming." The masses. Elvis raised an eyebrow. "A private dinner. The Colonel won't like that." Marvin, ever the smooth operator, nodded solemnly. "I've already spoken to him. I convinced him it's a networking opportunity. Good for the brand. A quiet room. No cameras. No fuss. Just a relaxed meal." He left out the part where he promised Colonel Parker a suite full of Elvis-branded merchandise in exchange for his consent. A flicker of genuine interest crossed Elvis's face. He rarely got to truly relax and talk with people outside his immediate circle. The idea of a casual private dinner with Ali away from the demanding crowds was strangely appealing. "All right, Marvin," Elvis said, a slight smile playing on his lips. "Tell Ali I'd be honored." That evening, Elvis arrived at a secluded private dining room in the hotel. It was elegantly set just for two, with soft lighting and a table laden with various southern dishes, a nod to both their roots. Ali was already there, looking relaxed in a tracksuit, surprisingly humble. Given his public persona, "Elvis, my man," rising with a wide grin. "Hope you're hungry. They got some good soul food in here. Nothing like my mama makes, but it'll do." As they sat down, the initial polite small talk quickly faded. Ali, with his characteristic directness, jumped right in. "So, Elvis, you got all these fans, right? Screaming your name, throwing their unmentionables on stage. How do you do it? How do you keep them wanting more?" Elvis leaned back, considering. "It's not something you plan, Ali. It just happens. You put your heart into the music. You connect with them. You give them everything you've got. And then, well, they just give it right back to you. It's a powerful feeling." "Powerful feeling indeed," Ali mused, cutting into a piece of fried chicken. "When I step in that ring, it ain't just about me. It's about all the folks who believe in me, who want to see me win. It's like I'm fighting for them. That's a heavy weight." "It is," Elvis agreed, a thoughtful look on his face. "Sometimes it feels like the whole world is on your shoulders. You can't ever let up, can't ever disappoint. Every note, every move, it's scrutinized. And when you're alone, after the show, sometimes you just wonder, is it enough?" "Man, you just hit the nail on the head. That's the real fight, not the one in the ring or on the stage. It's the one in your head, the one where you gotta keep telling yourself, yes, Ali, you are the king, because if you don't believe it, who will?" For a long time they talked about the hidden costs of fame, the constant travel, the lack of privacy, the struggle to maintain a sense of self amidst the adoration. They were two men at the pinnacle of their respective worlds, yet they shared a profound understanding of the loneliness that could accompany such heights. It was a side of themselves they rarely showed to the public. "Sometimes," Elvis admitted, "I just want to walk down the street, grab a burger without being mobbed. Just be a regular fella for an hour." Ali nodded. "I know that feeling, brother. You miss the simple things, but then you remember why you do it, don't you? For the people, for the love of the game, for the message you carry." They moved on to lighter topics. Ali told hilarious stories about his early days. As Cassius Clay, his interactions with sports reporters, and his famous predictions. Elvis shared anecdotes from his movie sets, the craziness of touring in the early days, and his love for gospel music. Ali was fascinated by Elvis's spiritual side, And Elvis was captivated by Ali's unwavering faith and courage and standing up for his beliefs. "You know, Elvis," Ali said, leaning forward conspiratorially, "I got a question for you. When you got all those beautiful women screaming for you, how do you handle it? You're a married man, right? You got a lot of temptation around you." Elvis chuckled a little uncomfortably. "Well, Ali, you just got to remember who you are and what's important. It's about respect for your wife, for your fans, for yourself. It ain't always easy, but you got to try." Ali nodded thoughtfully. "Preach, brother, preach. It's a tough road being a righteous man in a world full of temptations. But we got to stay true to our path." He paused. Then his eyes twinkled. "But speaking of temptations, you ever tried to sing a rap before? They even called it rap. I was rap." And Ali launched into one of his famous rhyming boasts, turning the dinner into a mini performance. Elvis watched, mesmerized. Ali was a force of nature, but he was also a genuinely kind and insightful man, beneath the bravado. Their dinner stretched on for hours, much longer than Colonel Parker would have ever allowed. The food grew cold, but the conversation burned bright. They were two kings, yes, but in that private room they were just two men sharing stories, finding common ground, and building a surprising, genuine connection. As the evening drew to a close, Ali stood up, stretching. "Well, Elvis, this has been an education, a real pleasure. You're not just a king, you're a good man. And you got some good stories too." Elvis rose, a warmth in his chest. "Same to you, Ali. You're everything they say you are, and more. A true champion in every sense of the word." Ali paused at the door, a sly grin spreading across his face. "You know, Elvis, I was thinking about what I said earlier, about doing something memorable. I got an idea, a really, really good one. Something that will make everyone talk. Something hilarious. Meet me tomorrow, same time in the gym. I got a little proposition for the king of rock and roll." Elvis, intrigued and a little apprehensive, found himself saying, "I'll be there, Ali." The dinner had certainly been memorable, but he had a feeling that Ali's hilarious idea was about to take their budding friendship to a whole new level. He couldn't help but smile. This was going to be interesting. Elvis showed up at the hotel gym the next afternoon a little earlier than the agreed time, just to make sure he wasn't late for Ali the Greatest, who was probably already training like a whirlwind. He was dressed in comfortable sweats, feeling a mix of curiosity and slight trepidation. What exactly did Ali have in mind? Was he going to try and teach Elvis how to box? The thought was both amusing and slightly terrifying. When Elvis entered the large, well-equipped gym, it was surprisingly empty except for Ali and his main trainer, Angelo Dundee, who looked a bit weary, but also resigned, as if he knew something unusual was always about to happen. When Ali was around, Ali was skipping rope, a blur of speed and grace, his movements like a choreographed dance. "Elvis, my man, you're here." Ali called out, not missing a beat with the rope. He flashed his famous grin. "Punctual. I like that. A true champion is always on time." He finished his set, the rope a blur around him, then stopped, barely breathing hard. "Angelo, meet the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley." Angelo, a no-nonsense boxing legend, gave Elvis a respectful nod. "Pleasure, Elvis. He's been talking about you." "Yeah, I've been telling Angelo how you're a natural athlete, how you move on stage, how you got rhythm," Ali said, toweling off his face. "So, I thought, why don't we do a little cross-training today? You show me how to sing and dance like a king, and I'll show you how to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee." Elvis chuckled. "I don't know about the stinging part, Ali. I don't want to hurt anyone." "Nonsense. It's just for fun, for discipline," Ali boomed, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "First, let's see what you got. You ever throw a punch, Elvis?" Picked up a pair of boxing gloves, tossing them playfully. Elvis hesitated, then decided to play along. "Well, I've done a little karate, as I mentioned. We use punches there, but it's more about precision than power, usually. Ali held up his padded mitts. All right, show me. Jab, cross, hook. Let's see that karate power. Elvis, slightly embarrassed but also again put on the gloves. They felt strangely heavy on his hands. He took a stance he remembered from his karate training, then hesitantly threw a jab. It was a little stiff, a little awkward. Ali feigned surprise. Whoa, watch out, world. The king's got a jab. He encouraged him. Again. Faster. Harder. Put your hip into it, Elvis. Elvis tried again, putting more power into it. Ali danced around him, making encouraging noises, pretending to duck and weave. That's it. Looking good, King. You almost got the rhythm. You could be a contender. Almost, he laughed. Now try to move your feet. See how I do it. Ali then demonstrated some of his legendary footwork, light and quick, almost defying gravity. Float, float, like a butterfly. See, it's all about the balance, the grace. Elvis tried to imitate. He nearly tripped over his own feet, stumbling a little. Ali and even Angelo chuckled. Hey, it ain't as easy as it looks, is it, King? Ali teased good-naturedly. Your moves are fancy, but these moves are for survival. He then clapped his hands. All right, enough of the boxing lesson for today. Now it's my turn. You're going to teach me how to sing. Elvis took off the gloves, his face a little flushed from the exertion and the laughter. I'm not sure your voice is quite suited for Love Me Tender, Ali. Ali struck a dramatic pose, cleared his throat, and in a surprisingly deep, booming voice began to sing, or rather declaim. You ain't nothing but a hound dog crying all the time. He swayed his hips, exaggeratedly mimicking Elvis's famous moves, but with an almost comical stiffness. See? I got the pipes, I got the moves. Elvis burst out laughing, a genuine, unforced laugh that filled the gym. Ali, you're a menace. That's not how it goes at all. Oh, it ain't? Well then, King, you gotta show me. Show me how to melt hearts. Show me how to make them swoon. Ali challenged Elvis, still laughing, decided to embrace the absurdity. Took a deep breath. And in his smooth, rich voice, he started to sing the opening lines of Hound Dog. He didn't just sing, he performed. His body moved subtly, his hands gesturing, his eyes conveying emotion. Even without a mic or a stage, the charisma was undeniable. Ali stood there, mesmerized. He stopped his playful antics, watching Elvis with genuine awe. He might be the greatest, but he knew real artistry when he saw it. When Elvis finished the short impromptu performance, Ali clapped loudly. Man, that's something else, Elvis. You got a gift. You really do. And you, Ali, Elvis said, you got a gift for making me laugh, and for making me look foolish in boxing gloves. Nonsense. You did good, Ali insisted. But here's the real reason I called you here, Elvis. I got an idea, a truly brilliant, hilarious, unforgettable idea. It's gonna be epic. He leaned in conspiratorially, his voice dropping to a whisper, though still loud enough. That Angelo Dundee, who was pretending to ignore them, definitely heard. You know how everyone talks about us being kings, right? The king of rock and roll, the king of the ring? Elvis nodded, intrigued. Well, Ali continued, a wide grin spreading across his face. What if we swapped places, just for a little while, as a prank? A bit of fun, and imagine me in one of your sparkly jumpsuits, trying to sing, and you with boxing gloves and a robe trying to. Elvis stared at him for a long moment, then burst out laughing again, even harder this time. The idea was utterly ridiculous, completely insane, and undeniably, brilliantly hilarious. Ali, you're completely mad. Mad? No, Elvis, I'm a genius. It'll be the funniest thing anyone's ever seen. And we'll get a picture that will live forever. Ali was practically vibrating with excitement. Think about it, King. It'll be great. It'll be legendary. The thought of Ali, all swagger and boxing prowess, trying to shimmy in a sequined jumpsuit, and himself the crooning king trying to look menacing in a boxing ring, was too much. It was the perfect, ridiculous, memorable moment Ali had promised. He looked at Ali, who was beaming with anticipation. "All right, I'll eat Elvis," finally said, a mischievous glint in his own eyes. "You're on. But if I break a nail in those boxing gloves, you're buying me a new cape," Ali roared with laughter, slapping Elvis on the back. "Deal, King, deal. This is going to be something else. This is going to be the greatest." The gym, which had moments before been a place for serious training, was now filled with the sound of two legends planning the most outrageous and hilarious prank Las Vegas had ever seen. The idea for the great King Swak prank, born in Ali's brilliantly mischievous mind and embraced by Elvis's surprisingly adventurous spirit, quickly escalated from a casual suggestion to a full-blown plan. It was so outlandish, so inherently funny, that neither man could resist the temptation. "Okay, Ali," Elvis said the next day, meeting Ali in a private lounge. "So how exactly are we going to pull this off without the Colonel having a heart attack or your trainers trying to lock you up?" Ali grinned, rubbing his hands together. "That, my friend, is part of the genius. We make it look like a secret training session for me and a vocal warm-up for you. Just for a few minutes, we get the picture, and then we're back to our regular kingly duties." The main challenge was the costume. Ali's boxing robe was easy enough to get, but Elvis's jumpsuits were custom-made, intricately designed, and not something just lying around. "My jumpsuits, Ali," Elvis explained. "They're pretty specific, and they're fitted." "You're a big man," Ali corrected him, "and strong. I'm sure we can find one that stretches, or maybe we just get the top part, the cape. The cape is important, right? It flows." He mimed a sweeping cape movement. Elvis chuckled. "Cape is essential. Yes. It gives it that extra pizzazz." He called his wardrobe manager, explaining the need for a practiced jumpsuit for a friend for a costume party. He knew his manager would be confused but loyal enough not to ask too many questions. The next hurdle was getting a photographer. Colonel Parker had only allowed one official hotel photographer for the initial meet and greet, and he certainly wouldn't approve of this madness. But Marvin, the hotel executive, was still discreetly involved. He knew a freelance photographer, a quiet guy, who loved a good story and was trustworthy enough to keep his mouth shut until the legends gave the word. Marvin was promised exclusive rights to the photo. Once in all shot, but only for a very select release. Later, "So, here's the plan," Ali laid out, sketching diagrams on a napkin. "And try not to rip my suit," Elvis added with a grin. "And try not to rip your suit," Ali conceded. Then the photographer snaps a few. "Quick, quiet. Then we switch back. Nobody has to know the full story, not right away. Just the photo. Let the world wonder." The sheer audacity of the plan was what made it so appealing, for both men constantly surrounded by rules, schedules, and expectations. This was a chance to break free, to be utterly silly and spontaneous. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated fun, something they rarely got to experience without layers of management and public relations. Elvis thought about his colonel. He'd probably ground him for a month if he found out. But the image of Ali in a jumpsuit was too hilarious to pass up. "All right, Ali," Elvis finally agreed, a genuine excitement building inside him. "Let's do it when, tomorrow?" Ali declared, beaming. "Right before my exhibition match. It'll get me warmed up. Get my laughing muscles ready." The following day was electric with a different kind of anticipation. Elvis felt like a teenager about to pull off the ultimate prank. He walked into the designated private gym area carrying a small duffel bag with a pair of boxing shorts and some Elvis-branded boxing gloves he jokingly had made for himself. Years ago. Ali was already there, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Next to him, draped over a punching bag, was one of Elvis's most flamboyant white jumpsuits. Complete with a massive rhinestone-studded cape, it looked impossibly tiny on the huge punching bag, let alone on Ali. "Elvis, you brought the gloves. Excellent," Ali exclaimed, pointing at the duffel bag. "And I got the threads. Behold, the uniform of the king." He gestured dramatically at the jumpsuit, which seemed to shimmer under the gym lights. "Ali, that suit," Elvis started, a laugh already bubbling up. "I don't think it's going to fit," ever confident. "It's a king's suit. It will fit the greatest." Quiet photographer, a nervous but excited young man named Charlie, was setting up his camera in the corner, trying to be as inconspicuous as possible. He knew this was potentially the shot of his career. "All right, Angelo," Ali called to his trainer, who was looking at the jumpsuit with an expression of pure disbelief. "Get the king ready." "And Bundini," he turned to his hype man, "get ready to be amazed." Elvis started to change, pulling on the loose boxing shorts. Ali, meanwhile, began to wrestle with the jumpsuit. It was indeed a tight fit. He pulled it up over his muscular legs, grunting with effort. The material stretched to its absolute limit across his powerful chest and shoulders. The belt meant for Elvis's leaner frame barely met around Ali's waist, but the cape was magnificent, swirling around him as he moved. A true statement piece. "Man, this thing is tight," Ali exclaimed, trying to get comfortable. "How do you breathe in this, Elvis? It's like wearing a second skin, but a sparkly one." He adjusted the high collar, looking utterly ridiculous and absolutely magnificent all at once. Elvis, meanwhile, had slipped on the boxing robe and the large gloves. He tried to look menacing, adopting a boxer's stance, but the gloves felt clumsy, and the robe was far too big for him. He tried to look tough, but a grin kept breaking through. Ali, catching sight of Elvis in the boxing gear, burst into laughter. "Look at you, King. You look like you're about to sing a lullaby to the boxing ring. Where's that killer instinct?" "And you, Ali," Elvis retorted, trying to keep a straight face, "you look like you're about to float like a disco ball and sting like a sequin." The gym was suddenly filled with an infectious booming laughter. It was the purest, most uninhibited laughter. Ali, struggling to move his arms in the tight jumpsuit, threw a mock punch, which was more of a flail. Elvis, trying to mimic a boxer's shuffle, nearly tripped over the oversized robe. The photographer, Charlie, saw the moment he raised his camera, his heart pounding. Two kings, utterly out of their elements, completely vulnerable and utterly hilarious, were lost in a moment of shared, joyful absurdity. The prank was about to be immortalized. The air in the private gym was thick with anticipation and an almost unbearable sense of impending hilarity. Ali, squeezed into Elvis's rhinestone-studded white jumpsuit, looked like a magnificent if slightly constricted parody of the king of rock and roll. The suit strained across his muscular chest, and the bell-bottoms clung to his powerful thighs. But the cape, oh the cape! It billowed gloriously behind him, studded with more rhinestones than a galaxy. "Man, Elvis, this thing is hotter than a summer night in Louisville," Ali declared, fanning himself with one hand while trying to strike a dramatic pose. "How do you dance in this without sweating through every jewel?" Elvis, on the other hand, was trying his best to embody the greatest in a boxing robe that was several sizes too large for his frame. The red satin shimmered in the hood meant to frame Ali's intimidating gaze, simply swallowed Elvis's head when he tried to pull it up. He wore the oversized boxing gloves and they looked like two giant marshmallows on his hands. He tried to mimic Ali's famous footwork, shuffling and feinting, but he looked more like a graceful duck than a menacing fighter. "Takes practice, Ali," Elvis managed to say, his voice thick with suppressed laughter. "And maybe a lot of dry cleaning. Now show me those moves. Float like a butterfly." He tried to look serious, but a mischievous grin kept breaking through. Ali took a deep breath, trying to channel his inner Elvis. He held up a hand like he was holding a microphone. Then launched into a surprisingly deep but utterly off-key rendition of Jailhouse Rock. Everybody in the whole cell block was dancing to the Jailhouse Rock. Ali belted out his voice, more suited for a boxing ring than a concert hall. He attempted a hip thrust, but the tight jumpsuit restricted his movement, making it more of a comical twitch. He then tried to kick out his leg in the fabric of the jumpsuit. "Whoa, Ali, easy on the suit," Elvis warned, laughing so hard his shoulders shook. "That's a custom-made outfit." Ali ignored him too, caught up in his performance. "Well, I got the rhythm, don't I, King? I got the soul." He spun around, trying to make the cape flare dramatically, but he nearly tangled himself in its voluminous fabric. Now it was Elvis's turn. He tried to look fierce, channeling Ali's famous pre-fight scowl. He raised his oversized, gloved fists, trying to adopt a menacing stance. "I'm gonna float like a butterfly and sting like a bee," he mumbled, attempting to mimic Ali's swagger. He threw a clumsy, slow-motion jab with one of the giant gloves. Wobbling slightly as he did so, Ali watched him, his own face contorted in a mixture of mock terror and genuine amusement. "Oh man, Elvis, you ain't gonna sting nobody with those. You look like you're about to sing 'Can't Help Falling in Love' to the punching bag." And that was it. That was the moment. Combination of Ali's ridiculous singing in the too-tight jumpsuit, Elvis's clumsy attempts at boxing, and Ali's perfect, hilarious retort about singing to the punching bag broke them both. Elvis threw his head back and let out a huge, unrestrained peal of laughter. It was a joyful, unburdened sound, rare for him in the public eye. He doubled over, clutching his stomach, the huge boxing gloves making him look even more comical. Ali, seeing Elvis's reaction, started laughing even harder himself. The sound was a booming, infectious roar that filled the gym. He clutched his own chest, the sequins of the jumpsuit digging into him, tears streaming down his face from the sheer absurdity of it all. You look like a giant marshmallow," Ali gasped between guffaws, pointing at Elvis's gloved hands. They stood there, two legends, one in a sparkling white jumpsuit, too small, the other in an oversized boxing robe and gloves, completely lost in a fit of uncontrollable laughter. They were not the king or the greatest in that moment. They were just two men finding immense joy in a shared ridiculous prank. Quiet photographer Charlie, who had been patiently waiting, saw his chance. The lighting was perfect, the expressions priceless. Their mouths were open wide, their eyes crinkled with mirth, their bodies shaking with genuine amusement. This wasn't a posed photo. This was real. Click, click, click. Charlie silently snapped several frames. The lens captured Ali, midway through a belly laugh, his face red, one hand pressed to his forehead, the other still attempting to clutch the front of the strained jumpsuit. And Elvis, head thrown back, hands in those enormous gloves held awkwardly in front of him, tears of laughter shining in his eyes, his mouth wide open in pure, unadulterated delight. It was the shot, the rare, candid photo of Elvis Presley and Muhammad Ali, not just smiling politely, but genuinely, infectiously, gloriously laughing together. It was a moment of pure, unscripted human connection, captured forever. Neither man noticed the clicks of the camera. They were too busy dissolving into another fresh wave of laughter, the sound echoing off the gym walls. The costume crisis had become the most wonderfully hilarious moment they could have ever imagined. The picture was taken, and the world would eventually see the proof of this incredible, heartwarming bond. The clicking of the camera went unnoticed amidst the riot of laughter that consumed Elvis and Ali. The gym, typically a place of serious athletic endeavor, had been transformed into a theater of pure, unadulterated joy. Ali, still in the impossibly tight jumpsuit, was bent double, gasping for air between fits of booming laughter. Elvis, his face red and his eyes watering, was trying to stand upright in the oversized robe and gloves, but his body was shaking with mirth. You really look like you're about to hug the punching bag and sing it a lullaby," Ali managed to choke out, pointing at Elvis, whose attempt at a boxer's stance had devolved into a comical wobble. "And you, Ali," Elvis countered, still gasping, "you look like a rhinestone butterfly that forgot how to float." They collapsed onto a nearby bench, still giggling, their shoulders bumping together. Angelo Dundee, Ali's trainer, who had been watching the entire spectacle with a weary shake of his head, finally cracked a smile. Even he couldn't resist the infectious energy. Bundini Brown, Ali's hyperman, was clapping and cheering. "That's it, champ. You got the moves. You got the voice. You got everything." The photographer, Charlie, kept his distance, reviewing the shots. He knew he had gold. The images were clear, vibrant, and perfectly captured the raw, unscripted moment of camaraderie. These weren't staged smiles for the cameras. These were two of the world's most famous men, completely letting their guards down, finding common ground in shared silliness. After a few minutes, when their laughter had subsided into contented chuckles, Ali clapped Elvis on the shoulder. "Man, Elvis, that was good. That was real good. You're a sport, King, a real sport." Elvis took off the boxing gloves, a relieved sigh escaping him. "You're a madman, Ali, but I gotta admit that was probably the most fun I've had in ages. I needed that." He looked at the white jumpsuit that was now slightly stretched out of shape around Ali's frame. "You really put that suit through its paces." Ali grinned proudly. "King's suit should be able to handle the greatest." It passed the test barely. He began to peel off the jumpsuit, grunting with effort. "This thing ain't meant for a man of my muscular stature." As they changed back into their own clothes, a comfortable quiet settled between them, punctuated by occasional chuckles as they recalled a specific moment from their performance. The experience had forged a bond beyond the initial respect. It was a bond of shared vulnerability, of seeing each other, not just as icons, but as human beings who could find joy in the absurd. Charlie, the photographer, discreetly approached them once they were fully dressed. "Mr. Presley, Mr. Ali," he said, his voice respectful, "I believe I got some excellent shots, truly." One of a kind, Ali, now back in his training gear, puffed out his chest. "One of a kind, boy. You just captured history. The greatest singing like a king, and the king looking like he's about to shadow box a poodle." He winked at Elvis. Elvis smiled, a genuine relaxed smile. "I'd love to see them, Charlie, when you've got them developed." "Of course, Mr. Presley. I'll get them ready as soon as possible," Charlie promised, already dreaming of the headlines. He knew the terms: strict confidentiality until they decided to release it. But the picture itself was too good to stay hidden forever. As Charlie packed up his equipment, Ali looked at Elvis. "You know, Elvis, a lot of people think it's all glitz and glamour for us. Right. But sometimes it's just about finding someone who gets it, someone who knows what it's like to be stared at, to be judged, to carry the weight of the world." Elvis nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. "It's true. It's a lonely road sometimes, even with all the people around. But moments like these make it worth it, knowing there are people out there who can make you laugh like that." "Laughing," Ali mused, "the best medicine, ain't it? Better than any punch, better than any medicine. Just pure, honest laughter." He reached out and clapped Elvis firmly on the shoulder. "You're a good man, Elvis. A real good man, and a funny one too when you're not trying to sing to punching bags." Elvis laughed again, a softer, warmer laugh this time. "You too, Ali. You too." The photo, still undeveloped, held the promise of a future legend. But for the two men who had just lived it, it was already a cherished memory. It was the moment's two kings from vastly different worlds shed their crowns for a brief, hilarious moment, and found a shared, heartwarming connection that would last long after the flashbulb faded. The photo op wasn't just about the picture. It was about the profound human interaction that led to it. The immediate aftermath of the costume crisis was a flurry of activity, though kept under wraps. Ali had an exhibition match to prepare for, and Elvis had his nightly show. They parted ways with a warm handshake and a shared knowing smile. A secret bond now solidified between them. Later that night, as Elvis stood on stage, bathed in the roar of the crowd, he found himself thinking about Ali's tight jumpsuit, the clumsy boxing moves, the pure, uninhibited laughter. It brought a genuine, relaxed smile to his face. Mid-song, a slight twinkle in his eye that his fans might have noticed, but wouldn't have understood. For a moment, the weight of being Elvis Presley lifted, replaced by the memory of just being Elvis. A man who had laughed until his sides hurt. Backstage after the show, Colonel Parker was fuming about a minor scheduling mix-up. "Son, we need to be more careful. Every minute counts. No more distractions like meeting with boxers. Understand?" Elvis just nodded, letting the Colonel's words wash over him. He knew better. The meeting with Ali wasn't a distraction. It was a revelation. It had given him a lightness he hadn't felt in a long time. Meanwhile, Ali was basking in the glow of his exhibition victory. Porters were clamoring for quotes, and Ali, as always, was delivering them with his usual bravado. "I told you I was the greatest. I told you I'd float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Nobody can touch me." But even amidst the triumph, a quieter thought was forming in his mind. He recalled Elvis's genuine laugh, the way he'd opened up about the pressures of fame. Ali realized that for all his own bluster, there was a quiet strength and a deep vulnerability in the king of rock and roll. A few days later, Charlie, the photographer, delivered the developed prints to Marvin. Marvin looked at them, truly stunned. The photos were magnificent, capturing the exact moment of their shared explosive laughter. He knew this was more than just a novelty shot. It was a testament to an unexpected friendship. Marvin carefully selected a few prints and sent them discreetly to Elvis's suite and Ali's. Elvis received the envelope first. He opened it, and a broad smile spread across his face as he saw the images. There he was in the oversized boxing gloves, looking utterly ridiculous. And there was Ali busting out of a sequin jumpsuit, both of them caught in a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. He picked up one print, a close-up of their laughing faces, and held it carefully. "Man, look at this, boys," he said to his Memphis Mafia, who gathered around. "Ali and me, we look like a couple of fools, don't we?" But there was pride and affection in his voice. Joe Esposito, his road manager, chuckled. "You sure do, but it's a good kind of foolish. You look genuinely happy." And Elvis was. He had a copy framed for his Graceland office, a private reminder of that hilarious, heartwarming day. Ali received his set of prints later that day. He took one look and let out a booming laugh that echoed through his suite. "Bundini, look at this. The king in the ring. And the greatest, looking like a sparkly vision. I told you it would be legendary." He passed the photos around to his entourage, who laughed along with him. But Ali then quieted, looking at the image intently. "You know," he said, his voice softer, "that Elvis, he's a real gentle soul, a good man. He's got that same fire, that same spirit, but he carries it different, with a quiet grace." The photos became a shared secret, a treasured memory between the two men. They sometimes sent each other messages through Marvin, quick notes of encouragement or well wishes. They never shared the full story of the jumpsuit and the boxing gloves, with the wider world choosing to let the photo speak for itself, allowing the mystery to deepen the legend. Their friendship wasn't public. It wasn't about grand gestures or joint appearances. It was a quiet, mutual respect built on that single hilarious and deeply human encounter. They both knew the weight of their public personals, the masks they had to wear, and in that one moment, they had seen past the king and the greatest to the men underneath. They had seen each other truly, seen each other and shared a moment of pure, honest joy. The photo, when it eventually did get out, would become an iconic image. People would marvel at it, wonder about the story behind it, and speculate on what could have possibly made two such titans laugh so freely together. But only Elvis and Ali would know the true depth of the laughter, the shared vulnerability, and the surprising heartwarming bond that had formed between the king of rock and roll and the greatest It was a testament to the fact that even at the very top, two different worlds could collide and create something truly beautiful. Time for Muhammad Ali to leave Las Vegas eventually came. His exhibition matches were over, his press obligations fulfilled, and the city's neon glow would soon be missing. One of its brightest, most boisterous stars. Elvis, meanwhile, was in the midst of another successful run, his schedule as relentless as ever. Before Ali's departure, he sent a message through Marvin to Elvis, requesting one last very private meeting. No cameras, no entourages, just the two of them. Elvis readily agreed. He wanted to say a proper goodbye to the man who had brought such unexpected laughter into his life. They met in a secluded lounge late one afternoon, away from the hotel's bustling activity. The atmosphere was different this time, a quiet warmth, a comfortable understanding that had settled between them. "So, Ali," Elvis began, a soft smile on his face. Ali nodded his powerful frame, looking almost somber for a moment. "Yeah, King. Back to training camp. Gotta stay sharp, you know. The world's always watching, always waiting, for the greatest to prove it again." "I know the feeling," Elvis said, "the proving part." "Nope," Ali agreed. "It's the price of the crown, ain't it? But you carry it well, Elvis. You carry it with dignity, and you give folks a lot of joy. I see it when you sing." "And you," Ali Elvis countered. "You inspire them. You make them believe anything is possible. That's a powerful gift." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, simply appreciating the connection they had forged. It was a rare thing for either of them to find someone who truly understood the unique pressures of their life. "You know," Elvis Ali said, breaking the silence, "that day we put on those silly outfits, that was something special. That was real. Not just for the camera, but for us. I haven't laughed like that in a long time." Elvis's eyes softened. "Me neither, Ali. It was good for the soul. You reminded me that sometimes you just gotta let go and be goofy, even if you're the king. And even if you're the greatest," Ali added with a chuckle. "We might be kings, but we're still just men, right? Who need a good laugh every now and then." Ali reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. "I got something for you, Elvis." He handed it over. Elvis unfolded it. It was a small drawing. A caricature of Ali in the jumpsuit and Elvis in the boxing gloves, laughing. Underneath, Ali had scrawled a short message in his bold handwriting. "To the king, my friend, keep laughing. Ali. P.S. Don't try the butterfly float in the Cape. You might actually fly away." Elvis laughed, a soft, heartfelt sound. "Take care, Ali," Elvis said. "Travel safe and keep being you." "You too, King," Ali replied, his smile wide and genuine. "Keep singing your heart out. The world needs your music." He paused at the doorway, looking back. "And if you ever decide to try out for a sparring partner, you know who to call. Just bring the big gloves." He winked, and then he was gone. Elvis watched him go, a sense of quiet contentment settling over him. Their paths might not cross often. Their worlds were too different for that. But they had shared a unique, unforgettable moment. They had laughed together truly, laughed stripped of their legendary porgenails, and found common ground in their shared humanity. The rare photo of Elvis Presley and Muhammad Ali laughing together would eventually be seen by millions. It would spark curiosity, inspire countless stories, and become an iconic symbol of an unlikely friendship. But for Elvis and for Ali, it was more than just a picture. It was a snapshot of a hilarious, heartwarming secret, a reminder of the day. Two kings met, played, and found an unexpected, genuine connection through the power of a shared, joyful laugh. It was a testament to the fact that even the greatest burdens of fame could be lightened by a moment of pure, unadulterated fun and the quiet comfort of a friend. Their friendship was a quiet legend, as powerful and enduring as their public legacies.